People have a hard time communicating in formal settings such as workplaces, businesses, schools, or government institutions because it is really hard to say exactly what you want or need to say for fear of being rude. It essentially boils down to the idea of rudeness versus efficiency. Efficiency is getting things done the best way possible under the most optimal circumstances in the shortest amount of time. But in order to even know what the best way of doing things is, there needs to exist open, honest, and reciprocal communication among groups and individuals. And even more important than that, there needs to be flexibility, the willing to withdraw, modify, adapt, and change, and real intent listening subjected to a constant feedback loop. Of course, it is understood that we do not need to sacrifice rudeness for efficiency. That is, we can be nice and kind with others and still be efficient. But the problem with niceties and kindness is not that it gets in the way, but rather that it gets overdone nowadays. People in general fear being rude, so they over-exaggerate and overdo kindness. In other words, they display an unnecessary level of fake attention and niceness, and so the conversation is not only forcibly maintained impersonal, but it is also limited in the range of conversation time and genuine feedback. This means that if there is a complex problem that needs to be discussed for a longer than usual time, it won't be discussed the necessary length of time it needs to be discussed. If people discuss something for longer than, say, 2 or 3 exchanges, once the impersonal mood has been set, it is taken as an attack, an act of war, and not as an authentic attempt to try to get more information, to really get to the bottom of things and to actually solve the issue and be efficient. Fake attention or pseudo attention is so damaging, and we all know what it feels like to be on the receiving end of it. You are talking and explaining something to someone who nods and seems to be following what you are saying, and then you ask a question or pause, and they freeze. Their eyes open up with a guilty and shameful smile, and they ask you, "Sorry, what was that again? I got distracted." This is because they were pretending to be paying attention, but they really weren't. People will go out of their way to show themselves as nice, oftentimes doing really unnecessary things like stating how they will help you if you need it, or telling you how much they mean to you, all words, but at the end of the day, they don't mean it. So when you really need to solve a problem and really talk about an issue at hand, it is difficult to make these types of people stay on track, because they are so used to only appearing to be efficient and nice, but not actually truly deep down being any of the two. And perhaps the problem may lie in the attempt of getting more information. People tend to not want to divulge more information in general than necessary, whether it is harmless or sensitive information. People tend not to want to talk shop normally because it can either be hard to, or because they are hostile against your knowing certain things, but it shouldn't be this way. I mean, I understand where the hostility may come from, and that is because it is also hard to trust people. However, there should be a way to measure good intent or no ulterior intent when speaking clearly. Moreover, this can be accomplished by stating clearly what people want and need without necessarily resorting to confrontation or coming off as rude. Many will say that the problem is that people nowadays are too sensitive, but I think we have also lost sense of what we truly need and want in life. So it is actually not a battle of my needs versus your needs, or my wants versus your wants, but of my needs and wants versus your indecision, apathy, indifference, and lack of structure. This is in essence. We see when people complain about others, it is usually because those others lack initiative and commitment. This can frustrate anybody, or at least anybody responsible. And when communication is consciously or unconsciously, deliberately or automatically obstructed by ridiculous and unnecessary pseudo-niceness and fake charm, this just means that we will continuously be stuck in the same spot without moving ahead nor making any progress. Not only communication-wise, but also problem and solution-wise. And when things don't go according to plan, then that is when we will witness the straw that broke the camel's back. Only until then will people notice there even is a problem, and only until then will they be invested in trying to solve it or continue ignoring it all the same. The straw that broke the camel's back is a consequence of ignoring many obvious and other not so obvious actions and situations along the way before it all gets messy and chaotic. This is due to always acting as if everything is nice and dandy and ignoring that which is potentially corrosive. And I am a believer in The Secret, and I also think that using your mind to think positively and manifest that which you want in life works, but people should also strive to face problems head on and to try and work through them. Why are we so scared to face off with someone else publicly and impersonally? Why can't we work through a common problem without getting all emotional about it? When will we, as humanity, put efficiency over niceness and eliminate the notion of being rude? Major miscommunication does not occur with the dichotomy of rudeness versus efficiency. Major miscommunication happens with people that do not know how to communicate. And who doesn't know how to communicate? Well, to start, people that do not talk or barely talk. Practice makes perfect, so if you want to be good at communicating, then you have to start by talking. Even if at first you are wrong or don't say exactly what you want to be saying. And in conclusion, it is not a battle between rudeness and efficiency, but rather a battle between people's emotions and the logical way to go about things. I understand we are emotional beings, but we should try to leave our emotions in the spaces that are open to them, such as with family and friends, and merely act logical when in impersonal contexts. Don't forget to subscribe, share your thoughts in the comments, and explore more on Abstracto. If you stayed until the end of the video, thank you. Next video will be about compilación con ideas múltiples episodio.